You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. We're glad to have you. My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Hope you enjoyed our previous couple of episodes. We sure did. They were a lot of fun to put together that top 10 list of favorite comic book covers. Did you guys enjoy going back and did you guys re-listen to those?
You know what I enjoyed? Deleting 10,000 photos off my phone. I'd had so many comic covers on there for so long. It was like, I can just be set free.
Yeah. I since I edit those episodes, I don't miss a re-listen, that's for sure. Video and audio.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a little treat. That was almost a necessity to do the video because you had to see all these books.
You gotta do that.
Yeah. So every once in a while when we do those, we'll put out a, most of the time we put some sort of video throughout, a week or two on the Patreon page. But this time we put it on Patreon, left it for a week, and then released it out to everyone else just because it was, just a better version this time with the visuals.
So I was really proud of it. I like the width and breadth of the choices. We had a really crazy, we didn't all pick the same ones. They weren't the most obvious choices.
I was very surprised by a lot of things. So yeah, it's cool to see.
Going back over these and getting these ready for consumption, I took a few notes and compiled some stats. You guys want to see the final tallies for all these comic book covers?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm going to share it to my screen so you guys can see it, but I'll explain it to everybody. So, hey, who wants a pie chart?
Oh my gosh.
All right. Broken down by company, 21 of them were Marvel, 16 were DC. And 3 of them were other companies. So not too much. I said having 3 Marvel guys and only 1 DC guys, it's still a pretty close split.
Yeah. We threw some other stuff in there too, so it wasn't all Marvel. Yeah. Almost 50-50.
So that was my first surprise of the evening. And then I broke it down by decade. So it's you can probably guess what our top decade was. It's the bell curve on this is pretty obvious. 80s by a mile. Only 1 apiece from the 1930s and 40s. Nothing from the 50s or 60s.
Huh. We
are not Silver Age guys, I guess. A bunch of text on the cover and word balloons, that kind of Silver Age feel is not for us, I guess. So 4 total from the 70s, 17 from the 80s, 9 from the 90s, and 6 from the 2000s on up. So,
yeah, when I was putting, before I put my list together, that was one thing I was a little afraid of. I was like, oh my God, everything I am going to like is going to be very modern. Mm-hmm. And it turned out not to be the case as much.
I should mention this data has not been peer reviewed. This was me marking on a scrap piece
of
paper.
We're reviewing it right now.
So if I made a mistake somewhere, that might I wouldn't publish this in a scientific journal. And this is only the top 40, so none of the honorable mentions
all the hits
count toward this data. So and we had 2 repeated.
Mm-hmm.
So
but
2 of them were Marvel and DC. 2 of them were crossovers between Marvel and DC. So the 2. The covers equal 40.
Yeah.
Just trying to get.
I got you.
Okay, so what about what character do you think appeared the most?
Superman. I feel like there was a lot of freaking Superman.
He was up there, but the number 1 was actually Captain America.
Oh, I like
which was pretty obvious why. He was really heavily represented on one list.
On my list, yes.
So 6 appearances from Captain America. And this also counts, he's on the cover of like Infinity Gauntlet, so they weren't just Captain America comics.
Yeah.
So I counted if they had a major appearance on the cover. 5 each from Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman, and 4 from Wolverine. Those were our top. Those were our top appearers.
Pretty mainstream characters.
Yeah, we're some basic bitches over here.
And only 2 from the Punisher, having street level stars.
Oh, that
involved.
was a total head spin. I don't know what the heck. I never would have guessed his list. When he put his number 10 up, I was like, "Yep." And from there on, it was just like, "What has happened?" Like, there were good covers, but just not what I thought Jesse was going to put up there.
Yeah.
So he keeps you guessing. Let me tell you, it may have been a doppelganger.
Yeah, this also does not take into account Seth's 50 fake out covers that he.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Started. So these numbers could have skewed a little further. All right. The artist that appears the most. That's probably another easy one you could get.
Mike Zeck.
Zeck takes the top spot.
Yeah.
4, count them, 4 Mike Zacks, 3 from George Perez.
Yeah.
And the only other people to have more than 1, Todd McFarlane with 2 and Alex Ross with 2.
I beg to differ. There was someone else with 2.
That's why I wondered if there was like the G.I. Joe artist. Or
Ed Hannigan. Ed Hannigan did G.I. Joe 21 and Avengers 223.
I had a feeling someone like that was less of a superstar artist probably had more than 1, but yeah, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, just 1 from like Brian Boland, Jim Lee, Mike Mignola, Mark Silvestri, John Romita Jr., like all these other big stars. That pretty much, again, we spread it out pretty well. A lot of one and done appearances.
Yeah.
All right, and finally we got to go with some of the commonalities that we found that started popping up into a bunch of our covers. And the number 1
flags, as well, yes.
Pretty close, but the number 1 was actually blank backgrounds. Like having just a white background or just a solo color background.
Sorry, I'm looking at the thing here.
Yeah.
It really cracked me up.
So we had 11 of the 40 had very like almost no or very simple background. 8 of them were wet. 8 of them had water and
8
wetness.
wet ones.
Yeah.
7 were sad.
Sad boys.
That surprises
Sad boys.
me.
There were 7 that the cover was, Superman holding a dead body or Wolverine with a headache. Like we had a lot of sad comics. There were 7 flags. It's a very patriotic list. 7 American flags. Only 2 Uzis.
Amazing. Only two Uzis. That's ridiculous.
I feel like there were a ton of Uzis in the honorable mentions, but only 2 on our main list. There were a lot of guns, but I was a stickler. Only if it was an Uzi.
Yeah, that'd be an Uzi.
And only 1 Speedo appeared on the list.
1 Speedo, 2 plums being smuggled.
It's a great
Booster
cover.
Gold and a Speedo. That was the only.
We led off with that.
Cliff's Booster Gold and a Speedo was the only appearance.
That's the best graph yet. I like that. 8 wet.
So I'm sure everyone who listened to that wondered what the math ended up with. So I wanted to let everybody know before we moved on.
Oh, yeah, that was a great time. I loved it. I loved looking at that stuff.
A lot of years in the making right there.
Yep. Yep, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with it.
And I'll post all those charts. I'll post those charts on our Facebook page here pretty soon.
Man.
So back to a normal episode then.
Yeah, I feel like we've neglected our regular upkeep of news. We got a ton of TV to talk about.
You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Marsha!
What's up, right, yo?
Yo, come on, yo, Omar's coming, man.
I'm Prison Mike. You know why they call me Prison Mike?
Beavis, please sit down.
Are you threatening me? I am Cornholio.
First sign a youngster's going wrong, you got to nip it in the bud. Nip it.
And I'm sitting there with Woody, and I turn to him and I go, boy, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Picture it, Sicily, 1939.
What you talking about, Willis?
Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? My neighbor.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, let's try to get through some of that. Let's talk about the good stuff. What'd you watch that was good?
Apparently
Nothing.
I know
Cliff and I watched
one.
something.
I know
Cliff
a good
and I
one.
watched something. What'd you watch?
I know a good one. I caught up on it today. It's 4 episodes in HBO Max. It's called The Minx. Or Minx.
Oh, yeah.
When back to school makes you feel like a fool, you too can snag a spouse. Find your thin within. This country treats women like second-class citizens. We're overlooked, underpaid, and overwhelmed. We deserve a magazine that inspires us. The matriarchy awakens.
Why is she so angry?
I believe I covered that in my presentation.
Come pitch it to me.
You're a publisher?
I am.
Breasts, more breasts. Oh, look, bigger breasts. You read my magazine.
I did. What, you think I'm illiterate or something?
Well,
Look, it's not Proust.
it's pronounced Proust.
Do people enjoy your company?
Not really. Oh, you're not suggesting that you publish The Matriarchy Awakens?
Oh, God, no. I mean, not in its current form. And don't get me wrong, it's good. It's just, you gotta hide the medicine. It's like when you give a pill to a dog, you dip it in peanut butter first.
I'm sorry.
Nude men.
Do you even understand what it is I'm trying to do here?
Of course I do. Feminism.
Hi, I'm Bambi, your new centerfold coordinator.
Oh!
What's the number one thing women find sexy?
Intelligence.
Motorcycles.
Minx? Yeah, I think it's Minx.
And,
I watched the first couple episodes. However many came out that first week I watched.
Yeah, I watched the first 2, and I checked today. There were 2 more.
Okay, I haven't watched those yet.
Yeah, I've only seen the first 2 as well.
Got those in this morning. I won't spoil too much. But this is takes place in the 70s. The central character is a writer of all things feminism of the time, and taken down.
And she works at like a teen magazine, like a vapid sort of what makeup compliments you kind of thing, and she's not.
She's not about that. So she decides she's going to make her own magazine, and gets in with a publisher of pornography, and it's really good. It's got a lot of, like, there's not a dull moment in it. I really like the pace of it. I like the actors in it. The guy that I can't think of his name from New Girl.
Jake Johnson.
Yes, is really excellent in this. I just thought overall I like the character. He is so smart and snappy in this portrayal. But he plays the backer, the publisher, one of the main characters. And one thing I really noticed, like, it was we were into episode 3, I believe, before we ever really got like a villain, a big bad of the show. Before that, it's just been, just people just trying to put out magazines and content that I can certainly relate to, and having deadlines and shuffling ideas all the time to try and get people to back what they're doing and advertise in their magazine. It's magazines are kind of I don't know. I mean, they've all went online now. They're not paper anymore for the most part, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I won't spoil any more than that, but it's really good.
Yeah, the main actress, Ophelia Lovabond, I didn't know anything about her, so I looked her up, and the only thing I know her from, she was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's
she was
where
the
I know
slave,
her from.
the collector the collector inside the slave that
she had pink skin.
Yes.
That's where I it was bugging me, and I didn't bother to look it up, and I was just
I thought she looked familiar, but there was nothing I knew her from. But and a good cast. That Jessica Lowe, who was just in the Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah.
That's Bambi. You think she's maybe an airhead, but you have more going on. Some of our favorite people: Gillian Jacobs, Rich Sommer. Come on, any show, rocking that lineup's gonna be good.
A lot of penises.
That's par for the course on, it's HBO.
I watched. I watched the Dropout. Some of the Dropout. It's not over yet, but there's several episodes about the pharmaceutical scandal.
It's based on a true story, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The world works in certain ways until a new great idea comes along and changes everything. What if you could test your blood in your own home? And what if it wasn't a whole vial, but just a drop? I'm going to drop out of Stanford. This machine is going to change the world.
These kids don't overthink. They don't get bogged down about the way things have always been done. They want to change things now.
Together, we're making healthcare accessible to everyone in this country.
I don't understand how you're doing this extremely complex chemical engineering with a high school degree.
This technology is 10 years away.
Your idea is impossible, so you just keep trying.
Do or do not. There is no try. That's Yoda.
Okay.
Did you guys watch the that documentary or whatever last year on HBO about it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. Amanda Seyfried is playing Elizabeth Holmes, and she was trying to develop this technology to be able to have people's blood tested without getting their blood drawn, just just a prick and get just a drop of blood. We can put in this little lab machine, and it'll give you answers to all these. It's totally not
put you out of a job.
Totally not feasible at all. Yeah, please do it. But what they've done here, they've made it into a show and trying to show. Some people were complaining it makes her look too good, makes her look less culpable or whatever. But I totally disagree. She just looks like a fool. You could see where her heart she didn't have bad intentions at first, where she's trying to do something big. Yeah. And it kind of just has the cart ahead of the horse. I want to do this. And then, gets all this money to fund it and gets people behind her to, and hires a lot of people and says, here's what you're making, make it. And they focus on it and really try to do it and just never can accomplish that. But you've already accepted millions and millions of dollars from people. You have this huge company. You're selling it to drugstores. They're going to put it in their places. People can have a kiosk for it and all this. It's it isn't a thing. It is not a real thing.
Yeah.
You've got it's all out of hand here. And she just ends up, eye on her own supply. It's ridiculous. But I almost didn't watch it because I heard people saying they thought it portrayed her too well, but I don't think so. It's actually pretty good. And Rich Sommer's in there. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Did you watch any kind of in my brain similar type of show? Did you watch any of that? I think was it Inventing Anna on Netflix?
No.
Okay.
I just heard too many not great reviews, so I just didn't. There's too much good stuff out there.
I didn't watch a lot of it. My wife has watched both of these shows, but it's it's about this girl who invents. She's raised in Germany. I think she born in Russia, raised in Germany. Anyway, she kind of comes over here and invents a new personality, becomes a socialite. She calls herself Anna Delvey. It's not her real name. And gets in debt very quickly, spending credit that she doesn't have. And kind of this news reporter who's played by Anna Klumsky from My Girl. Because immediately I came home from work one day, my daughter and my wife were both watching it, and I'm watching it, I'm looking at this woman, and I'm like, that looks like Veda Sultanfuss. And my daughter says, that's because it is. And I was like, wow, I have not seen that actress in a long time. But it wasn't terrible. I didn't think. It was very Netflixy. So not great, but not the worst thing in the world. Kind of weird. But yeah, it's kind of the, a wild tale based on a real thing that happened.
There's a ton of these grifter type shows.
Yeah, the Tinder swindler. There's something in the air in America that we're.
Well, I'll get another one out of the way. Then I watched
grifters and con men and.
There was one that came out on Apple last week called WeCrashed, and it's about WeWork, the company WeWork, which I didn't know a lot about, but apparently everybody knew about them at one time, where this guy started this company and just creating these places for community workspaces, like anybody, all these young thriving people in big cities need some place to work.
Yeah,
we go there.
We have one of those in Marietta, in downtown.
Oh, okay.
It's not very big. I
doubt it's a WeWork.
No, it's not. But it's the same concept.
They got them in there just because people want to be around other people, and it became like this thing. It had a bar, and it came. Part of your membership is like free drinks and this and that. But then it's like, okay, now you can't just come there and do work. Now it's like very, you gotta drink, you gotta party, you gotta do all this stuff. And anyway, but it's Jared Leto plays the main guy, and he is just he catches a lot of heck, and I give him a lot of heck, but he never doesn't go for it. Like he plays a real weirdo in this. He's never plays a normal guy. I don't think he can do it anymore. And Anne Hathaway plays his girlfriend in this. And she's like the female version of that almost. Like she always plays like she's the perfect person to play the character she is playing, because she's like kind of an actress. Like she's trying to be an actress, and she's not. Like people give her a lot of heck and stuff, don't think she's that great. And I was like, that kind of sounds like real life. Like people give her a hard time. I was like, I enjoyed the first 2 or 3 episodes that I saw last week. And I think some more came out today, but it's not the best thing, but I'm surprised how many of these types of shows have come out recently. Like everybody loves a grifter.
Apparently. Keep trying to vote for one.
So we watched Life and Beth, Cliff.
Yes.
The new Amy Schumer show on Hulu.
Mm-hmm. I look in the mirror for love.
I was thinking I could come out to Long Island.
It went that bad?
And he took the breakup like a total champ.
Uh-huh.
We're both just being completely adult about it. I'm never dating again.
You're saying that now, and in a couple of months, you're going to shave that bush.
How do you know I have a bush right now?
You got a big bush, I can tell. You're like 2 feet up.
You are a natural-born salesman. But you have to find the thing that gives you that charge.
I'm supposed to ask you for a tour.
These are stinging nettles.
Can I pick one?
You harvest them.
Got it. Use it in a sentence. I should have harvested my eggs. It feels so good to be out here. What's his name?
Her, and I never name them.
Oh, it's delicious.
Rabbit liver.
Oh, is it rabbit?
That's why I don't name them.
I gotta find my thing. And I believe that I was meant to coach.
Okay, get down. Defense. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
I really like him, but I've spent a lot of time on guys that I knew weren't right.
Sometimes our mental pain manifests in our bodies.
I'm finally listening to my instincts, and I'm going for what I want.
I'll stay, but only to make sure he's not a murderer.
I'm not a murderer.
Oh, my God. Hi.
Hi.
Want to come inside where I won't murder you?
Global warming, it's so sad. But, like, what can we do?
Stop buying plastic bottles.
This was a gift.
I just saw it announced one day, like the day it came out. That was the first I'd heard of it. And it's like half hour, 10 episodes. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
From the title, it definitely gives you the vibe that it is just another woman of a certain age dealing with problems in her life, jokey show, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think although there is some dead parts in it, there are a lot of clever things in it. Like there is some clever writing in it that it makes it worth its while.
Yeah,
that's time.
That's kind of what I thought. I mean, I almost didn't watch it. It was like Amy Schumer, and I was like, okay, I'll watch an episode. So I watched an episode, and I'm like, oh, Michael Cera. Okay, I like him. Oh, he's kind of playing an oddball guy. Like,
yep.
All right. Pretty soon I'm like 5 episodes in, and then I'm like, well, guess I'm going to finish this one today.
Oh, I just burnt through it. Like, she runs hot and cold for people, but yeah. I really like her. I think she's very personable as far as like to the viewer. Whenever she's on, to the people around her, she may not be likable to them necessarily.
Yeah.
But she's likable to the audience and the comments she makes. And there's a lot of extreme there. You know, I can't really compare to this, but I am. You know how on Atlanta, new season started of that. We'll talk about that sometime. But it's very I can't think of the word. It's not realistic what's happening. It's all turned up.
Heightened reality.
Yes, a heightened reality. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what. Like her boyfriend at the beginning of this is a caricature of a person. Like he's not realistic at all. But you see those hints of realism with what he's doing,
mm-hmm.
and she just like reacting to him like as if he's a fool, and he is. But
yeah,
a great character. It works. It all works.
Yeah, there's some cringy stuff in there where it's over the top, but you're like ooh, but then
it's like, is this real? Yeah. Like it is supposed to be real, but it really does give me that Atlanta vibe.
I love that style because we've had decades of sitcoms that were not realistic whatsoever, but they portray like this is how we're acting now.
Right.
Like no one in the world acts like that. But like if you can tweak that and be like, we know no one in the world acts like that, so we're gonna say something, use that to say something. That's such a good technique.
Yeah, it's really really neat. I thought it was very enjoyable. That's definitely a bingeable show. Mm-hmm. Nice, entertaining, bingeable, kind of romantic comedy type thing.
That's exactly what it was for me, because I watched it all in one day, or mid-morning to afternoon, and we were done with it. But I thought it had some really solid stuff in there. I was a little like, this is her project. She was like producer, writer.
You could tell it was all her.
Yeah, definitely. But
which was like, because it seems like such a bland, nothing new topic, and yet it really was. It had something to it that
it definitely it has a feel of a lot of different shows I've watched, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. But the more I watched it, I was like, well, it's done well enough that I don't care that I've kind of seen this arc before. But then again, it has a really nice ending to it. I thought it was really solid how they, the conclusion of it all and the lesson and the, that aha moment for her was all great stuff. And because a lot of times in those types of shows, it doesn't pay off in the end for me. But it this one kind of reminded me a little bit of that show on Netflix Ricky Gervais did called Afterlife. and I watched all 3 seasons of that. And I loved that show because it was, like you said, it was very similar. They're outrageous characters at time. He's outrageous, but there's like a sincerity about it. And like, it's more about the emotional connection to it than the actual like ridiculousness of some of thes people. So
it was Life good. And Beth on Hulu. What are you watching, Jordan?
Possibly my favorite thing at the moment is back over on HBO, basketball docudrama Winning Time. The rise of the Lakers Dynasty.
There's 2 things in this world that make me believe in God. It's sex and basketball. You know?
I'm sleeping.
Her loss. I'm about to buy a team. I want to build something special, a real dynasty. But I need a partner.
First pick, the 1979 NBA draft. The Los Angeles Lakers select Irvin Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
A period piece. Again, true story based on a book by Jeff Pearlman called Showtime, Magic, Kareem, Riley, and the Los Angeles Lakers Dynasty of 1986. This is John C. Riley has bought the Lakers at a low point. They're losing. They're losing on the court. They're losing money. They're losing fans. And he thinks, it's LA's team. And they should be a showstopper.
Magic Johnson. Style. I don't know why basketball can't feel like that.
To me, Dr. Bus,
it's showtime!
They do.
This is not the Lakers, not the Lakers team we know, not the franchise we know. This is before all of that.
So it starts with the drafting of a young Magic Johnson. He's going to turn the franchise around. He's played by Quincy Isaiah, and it's pretty excellent. Like, uncanny, some of the facial expressions he makes. Like, he does a great job of being the Magic Johnson I remember on my TV.
Yeah, it's not easy. You don't have a large pool of people to choose for for these roles. Oh, it's great. John C. Reilly's perfect.
Yeah, I love that 70s vibe of it. I love that it'll cut into like grainy film stock. they cut and like talk to the camera. They do a sides, they're like, he'll say something and then like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do now. Like they just punctuate the comedy again, stepping outside the realistic aspect of it. I love the whole vibe of that show.
There's nothing there. And you can't trust anything in it of being true at all. You can only go by what you know historically. Well, this was who the coach was now.
Yeah.
And then here's who's going to be the coach. And then here's who's going to be the coach and who plays and who wins. And that, that kind of stuff. Like the NBA was so dead at this time they're talking about. It was nothing.
Yep.
It was like the best teams were the least exciting. And it was just dying until this stuff happened. But they're
the Celtics
totally
had just gotten Larry Bird, and the Lakers got Magic, and that's going to basically turn the whole league around in the 80s.
Yeah. They're totally gonna put in a bunch of stuff that didn't happen though, just to do it.
Well, there's some pretty notorious things that did happen during that time.
Oh, I'm just talking about like in the first few episodes, the Boston coach.
Yeah, Red Auerbach.
Yeah. There's no way that ever happened. Him and Jerry Buss going and standing in the middle of the forum.
Right.
It's like they don't even have any reason to be talking.
Mm-mm.
Like none of that makes any sense, but they just got to do it. They go, we got chickless, man.
Yeah, I think this is Adam McKay, right, behind this whole series.
Oh,
so, yeah. I grew up Magic Johnson was is my favorite basketball player. I was never a Jordan guy. Bird was the enemy. You know, I still like the Cavs, but when I was a little kid, man, it was Showtime Lakers. Magic was favorite, Worthy and Kareem and all those guys.
I only followed the NBA for a couple years, probably 10 to 14. You know, and the Lakers were my favorite team just because that was the
I remember watching. I remember like I didn't like one team better than the other. Like I just loved the NBA at that time. I remember watching them. I loved that starting five for Boston. I loved the starting five for the Lakers. I loved the Pistons. Like as the bad boys and Chicago started coming up, was just like, that was the height, the highest it's ever been. You know,
I totally agree. Like as much as we talk about where the league is at today, and you know how far advanced it is, and how much money it makes, and how much these kids love it, and it's great. But as a sport, you know, that was I tell my son that all the time. I'm like, that is the height of basketball right there.
What was the guys? I'm trying to think of the starting five of the Celtics. I can't remember the.
Well, you had Bird, McHale,
Danny Ainge, Bird, Parrish,
Dennis Johnson,
McHale, Dennis Johnson. I was going to say Dennis something, but Dennis Johnson.
Yeah. So yeah.
Anyway, winning time. It's great. It's crazy. He's got doing the hair and and all this and just lots of sex. That was the best special effect they've done. That was great.
Him shellacking his hair into place.
So any of this controversy, if anybody hasn't heard, there was controversy where Will Ferrell, who was really good friends with Adam McKay, had wanted to play Jerry Buss, and then didn't end up going to do the show. Then when they did decide to do it, he'd already given it to John C. Reilly, and he didn't talk to Ferrell about it, which would have solved any hurt feelings. But now they're like not even friends about it. But it's like he could never have played this like John C. Reilly.
I feel like I want to give actors a chance, and comedians don't have to just do comedy. I think Will Ferrell could probably do a good drama, but he could not have done what John C. Reilly is doing on this show.
No way.
Will Ferrell is Jackie Moon. John C. Reilly is Dr. Jerry Buss. That's just the way it is. It should be. So,
definitely. That's a different skill set.
Yes, indeed. So
that controversy is the first time I ever even heard of this show, and that's kind of put it on my radar of like, what, there's a Lakers show coming out, and it was the show that ended Will Ferrell's friendship with Adam McKay was kind of the cloud hanging over this whole thing. But I heard somewhere I read said Michael Shannon was originally cast as Jerry Buss, and he had a hard time doing the asides to the camera and stuff. He wasn't jiving with that, so he left the project apparently. So that, according to IMDb, Michael Shannon may have been the whole problem with this.
That wouldn't have worked either.
No,
you got to be more happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
Again,
a con artist, sort of a sweet talker.
Right.
Yeah. Another amazing cast. Jason Clarke as Jerry West. Adrian Brody showed up as Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Michael Chiklis, Red Auerbach, Sally Fields, Gabby Hoffman, and Gillian Jacobs once again. So among others. Excellent show right now. Even if you don't like basketball, like I'm the least into NBA of anyone, and I'm really loving this show.
That's what really surprised me was because I was hyped up for Showtime Lakers. I was like, I'm all in on this. This looks fabulous immediately. And my wife really surprised me because this is like her favorite thing she's been watching lately. And again, like you said, she has no interest in basketball whatsoever. But the characters are so dynamic and interesting and fun to watch that she's rewatching episodes several times and just constantly like, oh, is there a new episode out? And I'm like, gotta wait a few days, but yeah, it's been really, really good.
What else there?
The other thing, I watched some shorts on Amazon Prime. The animated The Boys presents Diabolical. So this is sort of in between seasons 2 and 3 of the mature superhero show, The Boys. They did a few animated shorts to buy the time. There's 8 different ones. Each one's in a different style of animation. They're all 15 minutes or less. And there's some really big name voice talent and writing talent involved. Like there's huge superstars doing the voices, plus a lot of people from the show, reprising their roles. So like, and again, it's kind of just a wide swath of style. So like the first one is almost like a Mr. Magoo, like a classic animated comedy. That one was written by Seth Rogen and then Evan Goldberg, the producers. And it's like the baby with the laser eyes gets out of its containment and is like wandering around a construction site and like, gets up on the scaffolding. It's very Mr. Magoo and the thing. So then Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty does an episode that looks exactly like Rick and Morty, and it's that style. Garth Ennis, they adapted an issue of the comic, so the art for that one looks like it is on the comic page. So they draw Huey where he looks like Simon Pegg and that sort of thing. So
right.
There's an anime one that Aquafina wrote. So yeah, each one's just a completely different style. So the other writers, Alana Glazer wrote one, Aisha Tyler, Andy Samberg, and Simon Rasiopa, who is the showrunner for Invincible. So every one of these has some either comedic or a superhero pedigree. So I enjoy the show, The Boys, and I think if you do, you'd get something out of this. It kind of expands the universe a little bit. Almost all of them are about Compound V, which we learned last season, the source of these superheroes and their powers. So each one sort of like, what would happen if this person got Compound V? So the stories are all a little bit similar, and of course there's blood and guts in everyone because the Boys is very over the top R-rated. But I would give that a recommendation.
Anybody else watch Welcome to Flatch yet?
Oh, I did. You knew Carly and I would be tuning into this.
You two immediately were the two people I thought of. I messaged you guys this. Yes.
Yeah, but I thought about this. There are so few sitcoms right now that I'm watching that I will watch. If a sitcom is halfway decent, I'll watch it. Whereas like drama has to be amazing. I'm not watching a bunch of pretty good dramas because there's so much good drama. But I'm desperate for good sitcoms, so I'm going to give it a chance.
There's not a lot to do in Flatch, so we make videos.
Hands down, our best one is when we bear mace Shrub in the face.
Oh, does it hurt? Oh, it burns. Ow.
Well, the church moved me here from Minneapolis. Bit of a change.
I moved here with Joe when he got the job. Then he dumped me. Can't compete with God. And apparently Tinder.
I want you getting the wrong impression of Flatch. We got 2 restaurants, one with a menu.
Shrub's actually not just my cousin, he's also my best friend.
What can I say? I like an underdog.
We all should.
We're going to do our first date on Zoom. The town doesn't get very good internet, so I'm missing every other word.
I said, as time while I'm
Totally.
Hey, you need to make the font in the paper bigger. I lost a pair of my reading glasses.
Hi, Mandy. What's up?
I just told you.
Oh.
Well, it had me at 1 minute and 41 seconds into it, and I was just like, I stopped it, and I was like, Carly, get out of your room. You got to come watch this. So, yeah, we binged through it, what was available so far just yesterday, and laughed ourselves silly.
Yeah, there's only a couple of, it's on Fox Network. There's only a couple episodes have aired, but I think they're all on Hulu at the moment. Or
there are 7 available, I believe, on Hulu. So, as of right now, so I'm not sure if that was the full season or if they're gonna add a couple more to it or whatnot. But yeah, it's about the small town Ohio. Boy, can we relate to that? And this crazy cast of characters. So.
Yeah, it feels like that sort of thing, like a Parks and Rec or something, where they're gonna build up the cast members, and you're going to have a bunch of recurring bits and weird locals in the neighborhood. So I'm all for that. I love the fun pour. We're down for that.
Yeah, it's got Sean William Scott in it. I haven't seen him in anything for a long time. Plays Father Joe, I think. He's not Catholic, but he's actually a reverend. They call him Father Joe anyways. And apparently all the people of the town come to him rather than to go to like anyone with any sort of elected position, which cracked me up about it. But yeah, it follows our little man Shrub and his cousin. The two central characters are these two kids that are just, rural, probably high school dropout. They have no jobs, no ambition, no nothing. And they just kind of live in their own little world of amusement and what's important to them. We love that. But man, it's fun. It's fun. There's a lot of crazy characters, from Blind Billy to Big Mandy. Big Mandy's the favorite in our house this week. So, and they just, like I said, the first I think it was the first episode they ran into with the festival. And I was just like, right. God, this hits too close to home. So right. my wife was in another room and walked by, and she actually, as she walked by, she goes, "Looks like Lowell, Ohio." I was like, "That's too
nobody
true."
Nobody had a table selling tube socks for $1 a piece.
So it's a good show, though.
Also stars that Aya Cash, who was in The Boys last season, and that was You're the Worst. Was that show on FX? So her doing a very different sort of character, a very silly character, and a pretty good Appalachian accent.
Yeah.
For her, not everybody can pull that off. She's doing all right, but yeah, there's enough little moments that I'm enjoying, like the cousin, the girl's like desperate to impress her dad, and anytime her dad's around, she just like becomes a little kid again, and like she's like, "Dad, I got a tattoo." I'm like, "Oh yeah," and like he's like, the dad cares nothing about it. It's like, "Oh, Jackie Chan," and his eyes perk up from him, like, "Oh yeah," and he names a movie, and she names a different movie. He's like, "Oh
yeah," just keeps walking.
Like for like a second. If she had picked the right movie, her dad might have approved. But like, just like, I love those great little subtle jokes like that. So.
Any other TV?
Guess not. What about movies?
Save Martha! Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod!
On the roof! Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
Let's just get to the chase.
Go ahead.
What's the deal? Why do you hate girls?
Straight white male Cliff Barnes. Let us know your opinion on tween girl entertainment, please.
So it was a big deal.
Let them have it.
Disney Plus decided to release Pixar's Turning Red on straight to the streaming service. No theatrical release, which everybody was like, what the heck? It's a Pixar movie. Why isn't this?
It's not a white character, so
right.
Straight to video.
Straight to video.
Let's go.
I'm Maylin Lee. I wear what I want, say what I want, 24/7, 365. I know, it's a lot. But I don't got time to mess around. All about that hustle, am I right? Poor town. This is gonna be the best year ever. And nothing's gonna get in my way.
May, breakfast is ready.
Coming.
It's gonna be me. Is everything okay?
I'm a gross red monster. Don't look at me. Stay back.
This happened already?
What did you say?
Our ancestors had a mystical connection with red pandas.
Are you kidding me?
This little quirk runs in our family.
You're so cute.
Sick. I've always wanted a tail.
I'm a freak. We love you, May.
You're our girl.
So we were actually really excited about this coming out, mainly because it was a Pixar movie. We always like those, and Carly and I, we sat down to watch it, and we watched it together. She's 14, and I had no idea what this movie was about. Not a clue. I did not watch it. I don't think I watched a trailer. All I knew it was Turning Red, Disney, Pixar, cool. All I normally, would need. So we watched the movie. It was fine. Like, we laughed a little bit, but not, we were on our phones a bit too. So, when it was over, this is about a young Asian girl who lives in Toronto, Canada. And, there's this ancient Chinese, her family has, I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing or whatever you want, however you want to interpret it. When they become of age, the females of the family can turn into a big giant red panda. And that's the movie. It's all about her parents.
You can't relate.
Right.
Try walking a mile in someone else's furry shoe.
Well, it was funny. That was kind of my point when I messaged you guys, because I watched it with my daughter, who is 14 years old, almost 15. And when we got done with
he's laying that out. He's laid that out twice now. That's his crutch.
That's it.
If she didn't, then that's okay.
Oh, he's hiding behind his 14.
Yeah.
We all see it.
So we watched it, and,
like Batman and Robin. Robin is pushing out into the
front. I'll just hide in the shadows. No,
like a bat.
We just thought when it was over, she said to me, she goes, yeah, that was a weird movie. And I was like, yeah, it wasn't great. And that's when, a few minutes later, I texted or messaged you guys, and I was like, I said something to the effect of, this movie is made for that 12.
A very specific audience is what you said.
Very specific audience.
I about fell out of my chair.
Of 10 to 12-year-old girls.
No, you just said a very specific audience. I was just like, I can't believe, because you're pretty plugged in.
Yeah.
And for this, I've assumed most people have heard the controversy, but if you haven't, basically some dude, not just one dude, but
a whole bunch of dudes,
several dudes, but few people did. They basically did exactly what Cliff just said. That they could not relate to this. This was made for a very specific audience, and that they're alien. I mean, they went further than you, but obviously
the difference being
alienating.
I didn't hate the movie. I didn't hate what it was about.
Yeah.
And
it's
I'm
like
not afraid of
it's not. Yeah, it was like who cares if you like the movie or not? That's beside the point. It was the reasoning that they were giving, and I was like, I can't believe he said that, because people are getting killed online for this.
Yeah, I had not seen anything on it.
The quotes were people were dragging them like, yeah, you can relate to a talking car and toys, but not a Asian teenage girl or whatever. And I was like, ooh, it's like no, this is a bad look.
So it wasn't so much specifically the Asian part of it. It was the 12-year-old group of friends that weren't all Asian. You know, they were whatever.
Yeah.
All, you know, they were diverse.
Kids acting really goofy at that age. And which first off, I feel like we've had this conversation before, Jordan. I feel like you're probably
don't drag me into this.
Yeah, more eloquent at this, but I think we've had the conversation before about specificity in stories. Like that's what instead of making these cookie cutter, bland for everybody movies, you find that when you get very specific, people relate so much more, finding things about that, and learning about other people's lives, but finding like, oh, we really have similarities to this very specific story. Is that, Emma?
But I mean, and that's great when you do it well. But then if the movie's not that great, you can't drag someone for not liking the movie.
No,
if it's not that great.
But
that's an
it's the reason
that doesn't get being interesting and diverse doesn't make it good.
No.
But if you can dislike it for other reasons, you can acknowledge that stuff. Say, oh, I'm glad they tried, and I'm glad it's connecting with this audience, but it wasn't for me. Like,
if the
I
jokes
find
are
that
bad,
completely fine. Yeah, you
same
said the jokes were kind of familiar, and the story wasn't,
that's where it lost.
Really
us.
compelling.
Yeah.
So those are to me that's perfectly reasonable criticism, rather than just like it's about a girl. Boo. Yeah. Like that. Yeah, that's not a good criticism.
We're not rushing out to join Christians against turning red. I mean, I've seen all these ridiculous Facebook groups and hate, and it's just like, it just amounts to, a lot of it amounts to parents, especially, just wanting for their children not to have an life experience. They don't want them to know about this or that, or it's just bury their head in the sand a lot of times because we're afraid of that, or we don't think it's appropriate, or we don't want our children to be aware of other things out in the world and how other people live or their experiences or whatever. Yeah. Totally different thing.
Well, this
Cliff is dancing on so many landmines tonight.
This story of this movie though is like, you're looking at a preteen girl, you kind of really, the whole thing about the panda, like, it doesn't come out and say that for quite a bit of the movie what is happening. You get at first you're like, is this supposed to be just a metaphor for her having her period?
Right.
And it like, are people really seeing this? They let it go just a little bit and let you think it's just in her head, and before we realize it isn't. But it's like, so there's that to it, a coming of age thing. She's very, I like how it shows, that Asian lifestyle where they're very, she explains it. They're very, very disciplined by their parents, and they do what they're, respectful and do what they're supposed to do. So while her other goofy friends are wanting to go do this or that, go see the boy band and do things, she can't. She has to go do these other things because of her culture. Mm-hmm. And so that's, I'm sure, not only that community relates to it, but people are learning about that. And first off, and the whole, them acting goofy and, going nuts about this boy band and stuff. We have seen that our entire lives.
Yeah.
Like,
that's where
people go nuts about boy bands. I mean, we have all seen that.
It was just way too much of that.
Okay. Well, I related a lot with this movie, even though I still didn't think it was anything stupendous. But man, talk about one. I'm pretty sure we were all in 8th grade, and I know my hormones were going insane when I was at that age. Like, I just remember sitting in class just losing my mind. Like, I can't stand up. I can't do anything because there are girls in this room. I'm losing my mind, And on top of that, people are wanting to do things after school and stuff. or go to people's houses, and I have to go home and kneel down and say the rosary, and everybody, it's very awkward to have people over there and stuff because my family's weird. We are ultra religious and doing all this weird stuff, and I want to go to the concerts and things and do things that my other friends are doing. So there were little things that I could easily relate to what was going on in this movie, but it wasn't like the greatest movie. Certainly wasn't the best Pixar by any stretch.
No.
It was kind of reminded me, it definitely had that Inside Out feel as far as like her emotions turning into this thing and, get that kind of stuff, but it doesn't touch that movie.
No.
Anyway, I just thought it was kind of funny. Like there was this controversy. I was like, man, Cliff don't give a F. He's like, I agree with these losers.
Yeah, I had no idea there was any controversy behind the thing until you brought it up. I was clueless. I
just thought it was. I think I still agree with the people, the comments saying, because I think you can totally dislike it, but this reason of it being for certain things, certain people or whatever, every one of these movies is ridiculous, right. It's for a specific, it's telling a specific story.
Sure.
It's just so it really can feel sketchy when it's about a minority, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that was the weird thing, because normally the movies are
oh, you're the first one to jump on these Encanto,
right? I love this stuff, and
Moana and all this stuff. So I don't mean to be like, I just said that's why I was surprised at your comment.
Yeah, apparently I liked it.
I was most surprised.
You didn't do anything malicious.
I was most surprised because it was something Disney. He wasn't full-throated,
Trust
cheering
me,
for.
we were surprised too.
He hadn't already bought the T-shirt. And
right.
Yeah, the tail.
The tail. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It just didn't whatever for us, but it wasn't certainly for that stuff. It was just it just wasn't entertaining so much as like we got it, but it just didn't register on the boy bands and the silly teenage going crazy over that. And then it felt a lot like, I hate to say this, it felt a little bit like some stuff from Bob's Burgers, because the two teenage girls, the sisters on that show, have already done this storyline with the boy bands and going crazy over them, and it's been done on multiple episodes, and that is a show that we have watched a lot of. And it just, that was the first thing I kind of thought of, was like, this feels a lot like I have already seen it on this other show, and they probably did it a little better on that boy band stuff. So,
okay, folks, you heard him. He's sorry. Don't cancel him. His daughter's 14. Everyone. Don't cancel him.
His daughter watched it also. She didn't like it.
That's right.
Carly, get in there. I need a shield.
Bring your cape.
So what else? What other movies?
Hey, I watched that Adam Project. Have we talked about that? The Adam Project?
I don't think we did talk about it. I watched
it. We talked when it
also.
was the movie preview that it was coming out.
I did not. I had not watched Red Notice. I liked Ryan Reynolds, as we lovingly call him, way back in the day. Two guys, a girl, and a pizza place, and now he just, everything he does exactly the same. And this is no different.
Yeah,
it's the same thing again. But like I skipped Red Notice.
It's toned down like a notch. It's a little less Reynoldsy, but not much.
But I thought I'd check this one out since it was time travel-y.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it enough.
I felt it was right on that Netflix scale. Like we said, it's where it's fine.
Yeah.
It's nothing too great, but it's not going to be bad either.
You know, the action sequences, the special effects with the guns and the ships and all that, I thought those were all really done well. But then you get like a shot of like the big bad of the show in a de-aging shot, and I was just like, that's
I was like, I hope I'm not the only one that has
terrible.
a major problem with Catherine Keener.
Yeah.
That is like, she's a great actress, and they should have to apologize for what they did in this movie. Like, as much money as they threw at this movie, and we have seen some of these studios do great de-aging technology. It's like they took a picture of her from 20 years ago and just slapped it on the screen.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It is the worst de-aging I have seen
in a long time.
I think I've ever seen. Like it's like takes us back 15 years in that.
Yeah,
but,
it was like not
disgusting.
Even good.
That's
for
all
like
I could
a
look
video
at
game.
this is the climax of the movie, and they're doing all these cool effects up here that looked cool. Like it was neat looking.
Yeah.
And she looks like she looks ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I can't believe people were just swallowed that. Like
I guess they thought if you were going to watch it that far into it, you weren't going to stop watching it.
We've already got you've checked the algorithm there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and also it seems like it just seems like stunt casting sometimes with these people. It's like you got Mark Ruffalo. Okay, he's in it some.
Yeah,
but Jennifer Garner is like barely in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just like
we got a little bit of Zoe.
Yeah, even less of Zoe.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you doing? You're just paying them just to put them on the look who's in this.
Put them on the poster.
They're in for 5 seconds. Ugh.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was it was fine for Netflix, but yeah, definitely
it was fine.
Had I spent money to go to the theater and watch it, I would have not liked it so nearly as much.
And I was pretty impressed by the kid doing a Ryan Reynolds impression.
Yes, he annoyed me just as much.
Right.
Yeah, he was.
I was like, great, there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
We have a replacement.
It'll never end.
And I am conditioned any movie of this type. I'm emotionally attuned of the single mother and the daddy issues and that kind of stuff.
But it had
emotionally, it had motion core.
It had the pieces.
Yeah.
Like, man, you could have it, and you had the guys like, I mean, Ruffalo there, like, to a dad and his sons. I mean, like
having a catch in the yard,
like catch. I mean, exactly. I was just like, wow, you've got it all. I almost executed it, but
yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty much what I think I expected out of it.
I was just hoping for more. When they started advertising, I was like, man, maybe this one is not as junky, but.
And it was Sean Levy, the director, same guy who did Free Guy, just came out a little bit ago with Ryan Reynolds. I felt they're pretty on par. I think Free Guy had maybe a little bigger budget or a little more on.
I still need to watch that. I do want to watch that.
Yeah, I watched it.
It can be.
No, you will probably like Free Guy a little better.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
I just saw my notes I wrote for Free Guy. It's Buddy the Elf in Ready Player One.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds is, he's a video game character, and he's very new to the world and doesn't know what's going on.
Very naive.
And then there's he's in a world of ridiculous video game nonsense.
In a world,
it's naive Reynolds. So.
Yeah. I did watch a movie on Netflix that was actually pretty good called Windfall. It's Charlie McDowell is the director. I couldn't think of his name earlier. He did The One I Love with Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss, I believe, in 2013, which I love that movie. Just an oddball movie. This one feels very, they're going for a Hitchcockian feel at the beginning, just some of the shots in the opening, but got a good cast. You've got Jason Segel plays some guy who is like a thief, basically, going into what he thinks is someone's abandoned vacation home. He thinks they're not there, and then they show up. And the CEO is played by Jesse Plemons, and his wife is Lily Collins of Perry fame. But it was good. Jesse Plemons is really good. Like he's playing a different character than I've ever seen him play, I think, and he's just really good at playing, playing anything. I think everything he does I like. So this is just another. He's playing like an obnoxious CEO who some guy tries to rob while he's at his vacation home, and he just plays it well. And it's not a super long movie. I think it's probably only 90 minutes. So it is totally worth those 92 minutes. It's totally worth it. Windfall. It's a good little caper. That it? Nobody else watched it? I think that's it. We did it. Hour.
Like clockwork. That's the KPP promise. All right, so we'll be back pretty soon with some more. Until then, my name is Jordan Will.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.